What's up? Today I've prepared the best of the best for you. The top 5 combinations involving a queen sacrifice, ranking from number 5 all the way to number 1. Let's see who's the winner. And we're starting off with the number 5 in our list. This is a game between Kasparov playing white, a strong grandmaster, against Hikaru Nakamura playing black. Currently it is white to move, and white played a move which he probably thought will bring him a victory. It's a move knight to c6. From here, the knight attacks this bishop, but black can capture it, which is what Nakamura did, and now white captured this knight on f6, which opens up a lot of pressure on black. Basically, it looks overwhelming. Pretty much everything is hanging. And at the same time, nothing really indicates that white's king can be checkmated anywhere soon. And yet Nakamura found a move which turned the situation around, and it's quite a beautiful sacrifice. Queen takes f2. Well, you may guess the move because you know that there is a queen sacrifice, but during the game, I guess it came as a complete shocker. Now, after king takes, white's king is extracted, and now all of a sudden it appears under the massive fire of black's forces. Bishop controls this diagonal, rook from e8 takes away this line, and the rook from the c-file is ready to join the party along the f-file, and all of a sudden this creates a checkmating net. Now let me remove those arrows and let's see what's going on next. White moves the king forward, now rook takes f6, so king has to move forward. Now black follows up with knight to e5, which not only attacks the king by the knight, but also prepares for black's light score bishop to get involved. And although there were a number of beautiful king hunts in the chess history, that was from the game of Lautier, Najdorf, etc., but this is one of the most recent examples, and it's indeed very beautiful. White played king g5, but black just keeps chasing the king went here, and now pawn f6, which prepares rook h6 checkmate, so the pawn from f6 just takes away this square, the final square where the king can possibly move to. The knight controls this one. White desperately tried to sacrifice some material to diminish attackers, but that doesn't really help. Rook takes, check to the king, it went back, and now bishop to c8 takes away final squares of white's king, and now rook h6 is coming with the checkmate, so white just resigned. Number 4 in our list is the game between Magnus Carlsen playing white against his long-term rival Vishy Anand playing black. And although Carlsen is definitely one of the greatest players of all time, he only took the 4th rank in my ranking because he's not the brightest person when it comes to combinations. He's more of a strategic player. Anyway, in this position it was white to play. It's pretty clear that white is putting strong pressure, with all his pieces combined against black's king, and now the question is how to actually break through. And he played pawn g4. Trying to remove these final defenders so that all his pieces that are lining up against the f7 square can start working. Now, Anand played back bishop e6, offering an exchange, and Carlsen did that, bishop takes. Notice that black can't move this knight away, because if it moves, then this battery along this long diagonal will start to work, and the queen can penetrate on h8, so the knight cannot move away from here. So, Anand took with a pawn, now rook traded, rook takes, bishop takes, knight f6, white goes inside, king goes to h8 in the corner, and in this position, actually, interestingly enough, Magnus missed initially the combination, the winning combo, so you may actually wish to pause the video and try to find it out on your own, and if so, you'll be able to take pride in finding a combination that Carlsen initially didn't find. He played the move pawn c3, driving away the knight, and Anand played it back to c6, and at this point, Carlsen noticed it. It's the move knight to e8. Pretty cool combo, really. It's a sacrifice of the queen, but if the queen is captured, then there is a bit of an unusual back rank checkmate. The knight takes away this square, and the rook delivers a check, so this is a checkmate. Actually, Anand just resigned, and if I take this move back, there was another very interesting potential finish of this game. If black just moves the king here, then the way to win the game for white is yet another queen sack, queen to h8, forcing the king to go back in the corner and finishing it off the same way. By the way, I've got another video with the 5 greatest combinations of Magnus Carlsen, so if you're curious, you may check this out later. Climbing up to the number 3 in our ranking is the game of Vishy Anand playing white against Lautier, and it's time for the Indian Tiger to demonstrate his greatness. The position looks absolutely crazy and complicated. It is white to move, by the way. Here, although this bishop is trapped and white can possibly capture it, on the other hand, the rook is also pinned down to the king and can also be captured. All in all, it looks very complicated, and once again, nothing really indicates that there can be a soon checkmate in this position. But Anand played a very sophisticated move, pawn h6, and it's really difficult to spot the idea. Black probably couldn't, and he thought, okay, why not to take the pawn? But all of a sudden, Anand played bishop to g6, and that is a killer blow. This opens up this, opposition of queens, and obviously white is sacrificing the queen here, and it's hard for black to, get away from this, because if not, white is attacking here, the bishop is still hanging, and rook e6 is coming. So if queen takes here, then all of a sudden there is rook takes e6. Somehow this rook is almost always under the attack and is almost captured, but it sneaks away and delivers a killing blow. This is a check to the king. It cannot be taken still because now this pawn is pinned. Therefore, the king has to move, and after that, white's bishop's gone wild and they killed black's king. Very beautiful and very sudden finish. I actually was not sure if Anand has a beautiful combo involving a queen sacrifice, but when I saw this game, I was truly amazed, and he definitely deserves number 3 in our rating. And the number 2 is for Garry Kasparov playing white against his long-term rival Kramnik. In this position, it was white to move, and Kasparov started a pretty powerful attack on the king side. While it's pretty clear that the king is exposed, it's not that easy to somehow get to it because black has lots of pieces defending all the squares around, and so the continuation of white's attack is not obvious at all. And Kasparov played knight e6. The point is to break the connection between the queen and the king side, and after that white hopes to capture this pawn and start attacking black's king. And what I really love about this game is the creativity of both players. It's not that just Kasparov played some nice move, but Kramnik was on par and he played a series of great counterblows. Rook g6, counterattacking the queen. Kasparov went back, and suddenly it also attacks this rook on b8, and therefore white could gain a tempo. Black played rook to e8, consolidating his position and putting rook closer to the defense. And instead of moving this knight back or doing something trivial, Kasparov added fuel to the fire by playing rook to d6, involving one more piece into the attack and attacking this queen. Now, a normal player would move the queen away, but that's not the case when we're talking about some of the greatest players of all time. Kramnik came up with a highly creative counterblow once again, knight to d5. He said, hey, you want to capture my queen? Fine, I'll capture yours. And that would also initiate a number of exchanges, which would simplify black's defense. But Kasparov here found the absolutely astonishing move in a position which is quite a rare case where pretty much everything is attacking everything, instead of capturing something or moving away one of the pieces, he just plays a pawn move. Crazy. h5, and that is absolutely astonishing. When I saw this for the first time, that was really amazing. So h5, what's the point? Well, if black captures the queen, and somebody has to start capturing something at this point, or else it gets completely crazy. So if black takes here, which is what he does, then pawn takes here. Once again, we're ignoring this queen and just go for the attack. So this pawn rush opened up the h-file, and white wants to attack along the h-file. Still, the queen is hanging, and this pawn on g6 also suddenly becomes pretty strong. It's ready to either go forward or capture here and threaten the rook. So definitely not an easy position for black to handle. Anyway, black captured here, because otherwise white would capture the queen, and that leads to a series of forced moves. Rook takes, king goes here. Is also a pretty beautiful position where, although black is a queen up, white just keeps attacking with very few pieces left on the board. Pawn takes here, king takes h7 is still forced, and now white captures the rook and at the same time regains the queen with this promotion. And now it comes down the situation a little bit, and it comes to an endgame where it's seemingly, both sides have equal material balance, but the problem of black is that their king is still extremely exposed and vulnerable, and white can keep attacking even in an endgame. After knight takes here, Kasparov still does not play the obvious move which we male models would consider. He plays an intermediate move, bishop f5, going after the king. Goes here, white keeps chasing it, queen takes f6, check once again, and only here Kasparov was kind enough to finally play a human move, bishop takes e6, capturing the bishop. Now, Kramnik thought that, the position is dangerous, queen f7 is coming, so he played queen f8, offering an exchange of queens, but once again Kasparov did not play, some move which maybe we would play and go into a winning endgame, but he instead found a little nice combo, bishop to d7. So after all the tricks involving queens of both sides, finally white managed to win the queen and black resigned. So who's the winner? The winner of our rating is the game between Byrne playing white against Robert Fischer playing black. And in this position, it was black to play. The position is quite tensed. We can see that here the queen is hanging, the knight is hanging, and actually it rather looks like white is winning. It's not easy for black to defend all the pieces at the same time. And instead of all that, Fischer played a move bishop to e6. And what I like about this game are basically two facts. The first one is that Fischer was only 13 years old while playing this game, which truly demonstrates his genius. And secondly, that there are a number of possible options here for white, and they all lead to really beautiful variations. So, in the game, white captured here on b6, we'll see this in a moment. What if white decides to capture this knight? Looks like white is just winning a free piece, and at the same time the queen defends this bishop. Looks like white is just winning. But the refutation is still beautiful. Black finds the way to sack the queen once again. And here everything pins everything, but black wins. So the pawn is pinning this, if pawn moves, white will lose the queen. The queen is pinning this bishop, and it's also attacked. So there is just way too many threats here. If white captures here, after bishop to c3, at the end of this forcing line, black is just a pawn up in this endgame. And white is playing without this rook, this pawn is weak, so that would be an easily winning endgame for black. Let's take it back. Bishop takes e6 would be also an interesting option of white, and it also looks advantageous, still everything is hanging, but black comes up with this beautiful intermediate move, queen b5, going after the king. And if it tries to hide in the corner, there comes knight e2, king to f1, and knight g3. And we're using the smaller checkmate, which is something that you wouldn't really expect in this position at all, but after this series of forcing moves, black delivers a checkmate with a knight. Really, really beautiful. In the actual game, Byrne chose the most natural move, capturing the queen. But after that, he started off another rare tactical motif called a windmill. Feel the burn, as they say. So white goes here, and now after knight going here to e2, black just keeps capturing everything in white's position gradually. It opens up the king, it opens up the check, so king has to move. Now knight e2 comes back with the check, king goes here to f1, now knight c3, still check, and that's why it's called a windmill. We kind of repeat the same stuff over and over again. And now we're also hitting the rook. After king went back, there is pawn takes b6. Now black captures the bishop, attacks the queen, the rook is still hanging, everything's hanging. White played here, trying to counterattack, but rook a4. So this way we x-ray the bishop and we thus defend it. So white played queen to b6, but now knight to d1, capturing some more material, and after h3 and rook takes a2, and after that Fischer captured this one, and he won the game thanks to his overwhelming material advantage very easily. Now, white resigned a little bit later, but it's already completely winning. That said, the one thing I feel guilty about is that I did not include any game of Tal, who is possibly the greatest master of attack of all times. So let's compensate it with this puzzle of the day. It is white to move, it is Tal's game, and your task is to find the winning combo for white here and to write it down in the comments below. Also, let me remind you that the current enrollment into one of my best courses ever, 7 Keys to Victory, is going to come to an end very soon. So if you're interested to elevate your chess results and reach your chess goals, it's the best time to click the link below the video and enroll into the course right now when the enrollment is still available. And on top of that, you've got another cool bonus such as 50% discount and 2 other courses for free, which is how to beat stronger opponents, as well as my book Champion Psychology. So you'll get this all-around knowledge, the strategy, the psychology, as well as how to beat stronger opponents. Again, if you're interested, click the link below the video and I'll be happy to serve you the best way I can inside of the course. Either way, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know whose combo did you love the most. Take care.